Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. We will stand and we're going to have our invocation by Jessica Hall, who is our High Springs Police Department chaplain, and we're going to follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. She's on Zoom.
Oh, she's on. Oh. I got been slick on her.
Good evening. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day because truly this is the day that the Lord has made, and we're rejoicing and we're glad in it. Father, we give you thanks for the United States and its government. We uphold you in prayer and we uphold our city in prayer. We just thank you right now for this beautiful day that you have made. We pray and intercede for all of our governing leaders, God, that you have blessed us with throughout our government, especially here in the city of High Springs. We pray that as they unite together on tonight to take care of the business at hand, that you will be with them, that you will cause a spirit of unity and oneness to be upon them. In the name of Jesus, we pray for the Spirit of the Lord to rest upon them on tonight. Your word declare that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And we bless you tonight because we are a blessed nation, because you are our Lord. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Roll call, Ms. Palm. You?
Here. Here. Here.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion on the agenda, please.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, this is properly moved in second that the agenda be approved as printed. All in favor, respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 4-0. Let's look at our minutes, please. I'll entertain a motion there.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for April the 8th, 2021 Commissioner meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, it has been properly moved in second that the minutes from April 8th commission meeting be approved as printed. All those in favor respond with aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried 4-0. All right, item number 1, presentation discussion items. Number 1, recognition of 4A high school varsity basketball state champion runner-up team and Coach Elliott Harris. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Good evening.
City Manager, Commission. This is the fun part of being in the parks. One of the fun parts of being in the parks and working in Parks and Recreation. The opportunity to congratulate a very good dear friend of mine who have taken this amazing group of young men to a very, very far place as far as levels when it comes to athletics. I know most of these young men. Had the pleasure of working with them at the city of Alachua. They used to come up to the rec center when they were about 4 or 5. It just shows my age. And a lot of these young men also grew up with the courts here in High Springs as well. And this is a very, very special group here. And interestingly enough, our good friend, Coach Elliott Harris, who is also the recreation director for the city of Alachua. He was the dean of students for many years at Santa Fe High School. He's a graduate of Santa Fe High School. graduate of the University of Florida. And he's a High Springs resident. And he has coached this team, well, not this team, but he has coached over at Santa Fe High School for 20 plus years. And just real quickly, and I just want to make this very short, we're in a culture now of, you got to be the best. If you're not the best, I'm not going to play. And that's not the case with these young men over here with Coach Elliott and his amazing coaching staff. These group of young men done it the right way. For the level that they went to, it's just absolutely amazing. Saturdays when we were hosting at the gym over in the city of Alachua or other gyms, these coaches here, Coach Six, Coach Beebs, Coach Banks, as well as Coach Elliott Harris, they were there on Saturdays on their times off throughout from 8 in the morning till 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, helping out, coaching, participating for young men at the age, or young boys at the time, 5, 6, 7 years of age. And this right here is just a testament of what happens when you put lots of time and effort into our community. And with that being said, we appreciate Mr. Elliott Harris. Coach Elliott Harris, please, you mind coming on up here? Amazing coaching staff. And we just like to recognize and thank them for a wonderful season, keeping in touch. And the town seemed to shut down here and there when we were finding out the scores. And but Coach Elliott Harris.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, it's a delight to be here today. We want to make sure, and I tell the kids all the time, that we want to make sure that we appreciate the people that support us. And you guys have supported us throughout the years that I've been coaching, as well as this season. So I want to say thank you first and foremost. This season was a great accomplishment. Although these guys didn't get the state championship that we went to get, it doesn't diminish the accomplishment for the entire season.
That's right.
And these guys should be commended. They're not just basketball players, but they're also good people. And I think that's what we aspire to do when we become public servants, is to inspire those kids to be better citizens than anything else. This is kind of crazy for me because it's kind of full circle. So I'm kind of tingly right now. Some of you people have known me since I was born. I've coached Commissioner Jameson's daughter. And Pastor Byron was my pastor growing up, and Antoine Shepard is closely related. My grandmother and his grandfather were brother and sister, so it was really cool for me, for a kid growing up from High Springs. So I'm a little tingly right now. So, but thank y'all for having us. Thank you for recognizing those guys. Great bunch of kids, great bunch of coaches. I couldn't have done it without any of these people anymore. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get him
Yeah.
around here.
Yes.
Huddle him up.
Rodney, you gotta get out of the picture.
You guys are good. 3, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Great job, Ellis.
Okay, that was nice. I like things like that. All right, moving on to item number 2. Proclamation declaring April 30th, 2021 as National Arbor Day. All
Thank you,
right,
Madam. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
okay.
This is a proclamation of the City of High Springs, the state of Florida, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout High Springs, the nation, and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and beauty for the community. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Gloria James, Mayor of the City of High Springs, do hereby proclaim August 30, 2001 as National Arbor Day in the City of High Springs, and I urge all citizens to celebrate National Arbor Day. Further, I urge everyone to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. In addition, I encourage all citizens to plant trees on their property to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Signed by the Mayor, Gloria James, and attested to by our City Clerk, Jenny L. Parham.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome, Madam Mayor.
All right. Item number 3. Presentation by Suez Water Technologies regarding AMI software for water meters. Mr. Gillingham, our Assistant City Manager, and Mr. Rodney Hall, our Public Works Director.
Okay, so we have Suez Water Technologies here tonight for a presentation on water meter software. This isn't specific to a water meter. This is specific to software for water accountability, for turn-offs, turn-ons, when we read the meters. It is a broad software that will help with tracking of water loss, leak detection, theft, things along those lines. It will also, the program, in the end, we will do a comprehensive replacement of all the meters, where we turn them off, do a complete revamp of the meter reading program. I have Rodney Hoffman here, the Public Works Director. I have Jason Kettle here, who is our foreman for water, to answer any questions, and I also have Adam Davis, our distribution operator as well. I'm going to let Stephen Calhoun come up now and start his presentation. Andre is here as well from there, and we'll run through the presentation, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, Council Member. Thank y'all for having us here today. That better? Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice
Good
Mayor,
evening.
Council Member. Thank y'all for having us here this evening. That was cool recognizing the basketball team. I like that. That got me going. I grew up playing sports. That was a big part of my life. So cool to see you guys doing stuff like that. I'm here today. My name is Stephen Calhoun. I'm a water systems consultant. I have here with me Andre Noel, who is our Director of Revenue Services. We are Suez Advanced Solutions. You may know us better as Utility Service Company Incorporated. We have maintained your water tank for the past 28 years on an asset management program. Maintenance risk is transferred to us, and we take care of all the water tank. we have a long-standing history, with doing business with the city. Today, I want to talk to you about our AMI metering asset management program. Essentially, what we've done is taken that same concept that you all are familiar with, the tank asset management program, and applying that to an AMI system. Today, Andre will get into some of the overview of how something like that would work, and be available to answer whatever questions anyone may have. As Suez Advanced Solutions, we are present all over the country, all over North America, so we do have a large presence. I'm the local rep. I cover North Florida. So we do manage 8,000 plus water assets across the country. So an asset to us would be anything relative to the water or wastewater system. So we apply that asset management approach to many different items across the water and wastewater systems. And the purpose of us being here tonight is to present you how we're able to do that on an AMI system. Not only will we show you how to implement something like that, but also stand behind it and take care of it into the future. So without further ado, thank you again for your time. I'd like to introduce you all Andre Noel, who again is our Director of Revenue Management. I do have a couple just kind of brochures that just kind of highlights a couple of the benefits just for your reference. Thank you all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. As Stephen mentioned, my name is Andre Noel. I'm the Director of Revenue Management and Metering Services for Suez. I wear many hats. I'm responsible for maintaining all of our systems across all of the Suez operations. We're kind of unique as a company because not only do we provide these as a solution, but we also have them ourselves. We are in fact one of the largest owners, operators, or maintainers of these systems every day. So I use these systems, the same systems that we're sharing with you this evening, to maintain our network, to help our customers, to improve our operations, to make their life easier, and to make ours as well. So one of the things that So with our asset management program, what we can do is, with the solutions that we provide, because we're a user customer, we use these very solutions. In fact, I represent, from Suez perspective, I too have clients, I have customers, I have vendors, I have manufacturers that are also trying to provide me with these same solutions. Because we have this unique perspective, we're able to design the best AMI system for you, not what is best for the manufacturer. So that makes us unique. And not only do we provide the solution, but we also take care of it. Because everybody can provide a solution, but do we take care of it? And we do. Just as we've been taking care of your tanks for 28 years, you've been able to enjoy the benefits of that tank and not have to worry about any concerns whatsoever because we've been taking care of it. And you've been able to enjoy the benefits of that tank. And that is the same today for our AMI programs. My software system itself, not only will we deploy it, but we will also take care of it, which is going to free you up and free up your resources to work on the higher priority projects. And it's also going to do wonders for your customer service and being able to improve what they do. So some of the things we identified, especially challenges that are facing utilities today. Some of them in particular, for High Springs, we identify with non-revenue water. That's the water that you produce or you purchase versus the water that you sell into your system. There is a discrepancy. There's some water loss taking place there. A lot of it is attributable to the age of your infrastructure, in particular meters, and also just general leaks in the system and things of that nature. Customer service, being able to provide proactive customer service. Too many times when we send out our bills, and when someone calls in into customer service, how many times are they calling in to say, boy, thank you so much for that water bill you provided me? No, they're usually calling in and they're not too happy. You may have heard expressions like, I didn't use this water. When did I use this water? And so unfortunately, us as customer service, we're always reacting because the only thing we have is one piece of information. We have one meter reading that we were able to capture. And from that one meter reading, we have to be able to solve all of our customers' issues, but unfortunately we can't. So the best solution we have is to recommend, get a plumber, maybe they can find the leak, and maybe we can maybe we might adjust the bill. But with this system, you're going to be able to do so much more. And then of course, resources. Too many times, our resources are getting tied up. Meter reading should take a very short period of time, but what you're finding now, that meter reading is taking longer. You gotta capture all the reads, and you gotta go back and do rereads, then you gotta do move-ins and move-outs, then you have to go do shut-offs. And then to make matters worse, our meter readers are getting up there in age. They're getting like me, with gray hair and no hair. But we're moving on. We're moving on. We're the subject matter experts, and we're moving on. But who's coming in behind us? The next generation doesn't want to do meter reading. So by having a process where it's all automated, it's certainly going to help you, because your most important function that you do within these four walls is bill. The most important function that you do is bill. If you don't bill, you have no revenue. And that revenue comes from these meters. And so having a system, an AMI software, that is going to allow you to continue to do that, but automatically, because you're going to have that information come to one central location, as opposed to the way that you're doing it now by going out into the field and capture that information. So the way that the system works is highlighted here. So what was going to happen is, we're going to be able to read, using that device in between the meters that we show here, it's going to read your water meter, instead of once a month, it's going to read it every single hour of every single day. And it's going to take that information, it's going to send it to a collector, and then it's going to post it in the cloud, where you can access it through your cellular device, or mobile device, or tablet. And that information is going to have the hourly readings of every water meter. And the other benefit of this system today is, not only does information from the water meter come up to you, you can also request information from the water meter. So that means, if I wanted to know what is the reading before you moved in, or before you moved out, I just ask the system to go out and read the meter. About 2 minutes later, you have the reading. If you want to be able to partially close a valve, or flushing, or close off a meter, or shut off, you can do it right from here. You don't have to deploy resources. And so the system is very, very powerful in what it can do. And because the information is hourly, you can start seeing trends. So that means I can see today that, I can see that you've got a high continuous use or unusual water activity. I can see it today. I don't have to wait 30 days to see this activity. And many of us, we're kind of on fixed incomes. We're not looking for a high water bill. So we're not aware of these leaks. But this system is going to be able, through its software, is going to be able to tell you of the leaks that are occurring right now as we speak. And from there, you'll be able to use that system to send a text, an email, be able to put a door hanger, send somebody out in the field and let your customers know that they in fact have a leak. So they can do something about it now, instead of having to wait until you get that bill, which of course, they're not going to be happy to see. So here are some of the benefits. So with that system, hourly water meter readings. Reduce billing adjustments, because again, from the system, you can go out and get the meter reading. You don't even have to leave this room. Theft. One of the things we identified in our utility operations was the amount of theft that was taking place. Yes, there is a correlation between the cost of water and the amount of theft. We found many instances where the water meter reading every hour was going backwards. Well, how on earth is the water meter reading going backwards? Somebody took the water meter, they reversed it. Then we saw situations where folks were filling up pools, but there's no usage. Or we saw instances where the meter is empty. Well, how is that possible? Well, they
physically took the water meter out of service and they put a straight pipe in instead. Or they took the register off the meter and put a bit by its side. You'll be able to see when these events take place and be able to identify that and of course address it accordingly. You'll be able to revenue forecast up for finance and for that department. You'll be able to determine how much revenue am I going to bring in now? Because the system gives you a snapshot of all the meter readings at once. Customer service, you're going to be able to go from being reactive to being proactive. So what that means is you're going to see that, well, these customers today, they're using a lot of water. You'll be able to contact them regularly or send them an email and let them know. They don't have to wait 30 days or 60 days. And some customers, we have 90 days is when they do. So they'll be able to let them know. So now they'll actually be proactive because they'll feel like they're part of the solution, helping customers every day identify sources of leaks. In fact, the system that I have up in Bayonne, New Jersey, we deployed about 6 years ago. Today, to date, I have received over 4,000 letters from customers saying thank you for the notifications that we have received from their bill. Well, the question I always ask is, how many letters have you received to say thank you for the bill that you sent? See the difference? That's the power of this software. And so you're going to have improved customer service. You will be able to bill when they get paid. One of the things we identify is many live paycheck to paycheck. It never fails. I get paid on the 1st, the water bill shows up on the 10th. I don't have any money by the 10th. But because you have hourly readings, if your system allows you, you can then, of course, bill exactly when they get paid, which makes life a whole lot easier. And then, of course, a lot of very powerful tools in right sizing and operations, identifying your assets, and of course, with the changing of your water meters, you'll also be able to increase your revenue because you're going to have new meters that actually will be able to capture every drop of water that's actually being used, and hopefully have an impact on the non-revenue water. The other benefit of this system, it's scalable, so it grows as your needs grow. It's actually the foundation to becoming a smart utility or a smart city. So it's very, very powerful. So with our program, we cover everything from the assessment to the financial solution to deploying it, putting everything in place, and of course, most importantly, we also take care of it. So that means you get to enjoy all the benefits of the system without having to worry about all the maintenance and all the field repairs, all the field replacements. That's going to free up your resources to work on higher priority projects, just like we do today for your tanks. You don't worry about your tank. You probably didn't even know we were taking care of it for 28 years. Because you've never had to worry because we've been taking care of it. And that's the same you're going to see in your metering program as well. So who's going to take care of it? We are. We will take care of it for up to 15 years. The reason why 15? Because at that time, it's time to change out the technology. The AMI infrastructure would be fine, but it's time to do because the meter will only last so long. But we will take care of it. It's our job. We will provide preventative and corrective maintenance. In other words, we're not going to allow anything to fail. If we see a trend where it's not going to make it, we're going to remove it. And that's important because if we allow something to fail in your system, it means a loss of revenue to you. That's not the way a system needs to work. Because again, I run these operations as well. We don't allow anything to fail. That's the reason in my title, you notice, is Director of Revenue Management. Guess what my job is for the water utility? Maximizing revenue. That's my job. And so we're going to do the same for you as well. So you're going to have all the guarantees, all the support. We're going to spread the cost over time. We're going to minimize technology and obsolescence risk. It never fails. You buy something new, all of a sudden you found out that it's out of date. We're going to minimize that risk for you as well. You're going to be the single source of responsibility and accountability. So for your tank, for example, you don't worry about who did the cleaning, who did the painting, who did this. You just got one person in contact. You just call us. We take care of it. And it's going to be the same with your AMI software. Just contacting us, we're going to be taking care of it. In fact, we're taking it one step further. We're monitoring your system every day. So we proactively will be contacting you to let you know we're coming out to take care of your system today. So that eliminates finger pointing, and of course, it allows your team to start working on higher priority projects. So with that, Just a snapshot of the software and what it's gonna look like. You can see in the right, where you see the map, you see those locator pins. Those locator pins are your water meters. That's where they are. So you can see the color distinguishes what the activity may be going. If it's red, maybe it's most likely a continuous leak. It could be negative consumption, it could be unusual activity. If it's blue, everything is fine. But you'll see those conditions, you'll get email alerts, you'll get reports. You'll be able to zoom down in Google and see the actual location. So it's a very, very powerful system, but you can see just from a snapshot of what is going on in your system today. So and the system, the software here, it's an open system. So you can use whatever meter that you want. You can choose whatever you like. Some days you like the manufacturer, some days you don't. You choose somebody else. You're going to also have a customer service portal. So that means all the property owners, all the residents will have access to have an app on their phone where they can see their own usage. They can see their own activity. They can see what's going on. So if they're going away, if they're traveling, they can see, whoa, why all of a sudden I have all this usage? I remember years ago when I worked for the water meter manufacturer, this is a short story. I had a call from a customer in Florida, right in Florida. Says, Andre, I didn't use all that water, like we've ever heard that before. I didn't use all this water. I said, oh, come on. He said, what makes you different? Andre, I wasn't home for a week. I took the kids to Disney World. I said, well, how much water are we talking about? This 28,000 gallons. I said, whoa, that's a lot of water. Then I thought of it for a second. I said, by the way, does your neighbor by chance have a pool? He says, yeah, he just installed one. So it's 18 feet by 36. I said, yeah, something like that. Why do you ask? Well, I've got one that holds 28,000 gallons of water. Needless to say, with this system, you'll be able to see the activity that's taking place on this property, no matter where they are. Property owners are going to love it because they can consolidate and see all their properties all at once. You too will be able to see your own usage, to see what activity is taking place. And that's also going to help you in your non-revenue water as well. This system is compatible with gas and electric, so if you want to continue to grow into different utilities or help other services, you can. It's got leak detection, so we're going to help with your mains to see if there's any leaks there and see if we can identify any non-revenue water. We talked about theft, very powerful on the analytics, user-friendly, easy to expand. It's also solar powered. So here in Florida, and we have a lot of storms, so we don't have to worry about electricity. If electricity grid goes down or anything like that, it's not going to affect your ability to get your meter reads because it's solar powered. And we also designed your system with redundancy. So if a collector was to go down, it will not affect your ability to get your bill. And so here's kind of a snapshot of what your system is going to look like. Those yellow pins is where the collectors would go. I think for your system, you only need 5. Like you can see those little red dots, those are all your water meters. And so you can see how we're going to cover everything for you. And again, more importantly, we are going to take care of it. It's our responsibility, our risk and responsibility to us. I want to certainly make sure you are aware the system does belong to you. We don't own it, it's yours. Just like your tank, you own it. We just so happen to be also taking care of it for you on a daily basis using our teams, our field service teams here in Florida. That's going to be taking care of these systems. From a cost justification, we took a look at it based on some of the information you provided to us, and so we were able to use the assumptions provided to us and take a look at what the cost savings would be from the fact of having to go out and read meters, rereads, move in, move out. And so we took a snapshot of that. We also took a look at what the potential revenue could be by changing out the water meters from a water under billing and a sewer under billing. And we took a look at that, and your annual financial benefit is about $450,000 if you take both of them together. And so that, of course, allows us, your system, based on what we're working together with you on and negotiating, this is going to certainly make it very cash positive. Because one of the things you may not, one of the things you may want to remember, out of all the projects that you do as a city, and certainly as a water utility, out of all the projects that you do, this is the only project where you actually generate revenue. Well, think about it. I can buy a water treatment plant, but you're coming out of my capital budget. I can do work in the wastewater, you're coming out of my budget. But when I change out the meter, when I move to AMI, I actually will be able to increase or improve the revenue. Because remember, the meters, the revenue from the meters is that's what covers everything. And so it's very, very important. And with our program, we take care of everything. So this is, one more? So with our program, we are responsible for everything. From the asset management program that we provide for your tanks, we're going to be providing that same program over your AMI software. We're going to do the preventative and corrective maintenance. We're going to monitor your system every day and deploy our resources to go out and take care of everything in the field, regardless of what it may be. We're providing the labor. We're going to put all the costs associated with this system all together so that you're not surprised. Again, because I run these operations every day, you know everything that comes with these systems. So we're going to bundle all that for you. So hosting, application, we're going to track all the assets, all your meters. We're going to know the software. We're going to know where everything is. We're going to take care of any upgrades. We're going to take care of all the training. Because one of the things, this is we mentioned with the tanks. When we provide a solution, as you probably have just come to appreciate with the tanks, when we provide you with a solution, we don't move out, we move in. We've been here for 28 years. We move in and we take care of it so that you get to enjoy the system. So in conclusion, we took a look at the non-revenue water. We see the impact. We know that it's going to continue to have an impact on the city. So we're certainly in a position. We've come forward with a turnkey AMI system, software under our program. We have the ability to minimize the impact by spreading the costs over time with our partners. We also can delay the billing. We have the ability to delay billing for 12, even 18 months. The benefit of that is it allows us to get that software in, get that system in, so that it can increase that revenue, so that it can certainly help with the cost over time. We have been a long-term partner to utilities for many years. We have been your partner for 28 years. And again, I just want to say thank you very much for allowing us to be a partner with you for so many years. We truly enjoy it. We continue to enjoy taking care of your water asset, namely your tank. And we just want to say thank you, and we look forward to being your partner for many more. With that, I'll turn it back to you if you have any questions.
All right, questions?
So this system, is it compatible to the meters we have now, or we have to switch out all new meters to your meters?
So we don't manufacture anything. But because of our company, we are the largest, actually in this country, we're the second largest purchaser of water meters in the country. So we have relationships with all the manufacturers. So the choice is yours as to what you wish. You can use any meter that you wish. The system is compatible, the software is compatible with any meter that you choose. So you can include the existing ones you have.
Okay. And I like the part about detecting leaks. So that means it'll come to my phone instead of me have to, somebody from the city say, well, turn all your water off and then go check see if your meter spinning. So I won't have to have that problem no longer. I can.
That's right. You'll get an alert. You will actually get an email alert saying that you've got continuous leak. And because we live in the south, one of the things that we do, especially with our irrigation, we don't bury our irrigation lines very deep. And of course, if a deep freeze comes through here, you know what happens? They start popping. All those lines start popping. And so you know what happens? It never fails. Somebody just read your meter. So the next time you're going to find out about that is 30 days later. Now, on your app, you're going to know about it now. That, well, I've used up 50% of my budget. I'm only 2 days into the month. So you will know. So the customer service will automatically know. They will see it pop up. So they too will send you notification. We, as Suez, will also know notifications just to say thank you, just for that. And that's important because Here in Florida, we have many that are on fixed incomes. You know, many don't budget, and I certainly don't budget, $1,000 for one thing. We budget a set amount. Here to be able to stay within that because we're gonna be able to monitor that system and be able to work.
So with this system, I like to put it this way, is it senior citizen friendly? 'Cause so,
It's going to benefit them greatly because it will benefit them because even if they're not tech savvy, they don't want to use the app. The system itself, the software itself will generate emails or text and send it to them. Customer service also has the ability, because I showed you on that map, to also contact them. But the benefit is they're contacting a day or 2 days or 3 days after the leak has occurred. They're not waiting for the next water meter reading, just 30 days later. So the fact that it's over such a short period of time is going to save them a considerable amount of money and no surprises. It's also going to minimize the impact here because you're not going to have customers coming in and say, can you do something about my water bill? Or I didn't use this water. Well, you have the evidence of not only did you use the water, I'll show you when you use the water. So I would recommend this to the property owner. I suggest you sign on and get the app on your phone, and so you too can monitor your own usage.
okay. And the last question is, and so the city won't have to have a water meter no longer. They control everything. So like the guys ride around in the truck now, that job will be eliminated.
Right.
They move to,
It'll all be computer-based, and we can, for instance, utility billing will be able to do it right there from an office, like after-hour turn-ons over a weekend. You'll be able to log in and see that they paid their bill. There'll be a lot of things along those lines, but the big thing about it is like the on-call person, they'll be able to go on the laptop or from their cell phone and be able to turn your water bill on once they're able to verify that it was paid. They won't have to go out. If we have to do a turn-off, there's no face-to-face interaction with the disgruntled customer or anything along those lines. Why are you turning my water off type deal? So there's some safety in there as well.
okay, and that's kind of interesting. How in the world a machine gonna turn some water off? It's a new world. All I can see in my mind is you hit a button and boom, something inside the.
It closes up the valve.
That's exactly what's going to happen. In fact, there's these also another setting, because there's certain systems across the country, you can't shut them off. In California, I can't shut somebody off completely, but so I have another setting in the valve which is partial. Comes down partial, so you can take a drink of water, take some medication, but you're not going to be able to take a shower. Your life's going to be a little miserable until you decide to
Pay your bill.
Quite interesting. Some of y'all probably don't remember the Jetsons. Y'all remember?
Yeah,
I
the
remember
Jetsons.
I think we're in those days.
Well, it's also gonna help with tampering, it's also gonna help with water for that. I mean, those things do happen, so it'll be, if somehow or another, if they finish getting water back on, we'll be notified that it's not working.
Okay.
I mean, those are some key things that are gonna be beneficial to us.
One more question, I'm finished. It might be for Jennifer and Bruce. So I hope we don't have internet this time. So those that have been getting away without using our water system, so if we come with this system, so all those people that, I can say all, but whoever that might be out there not hooked up to our water system, they'll be found.
It's coming to an end.
It'll be billed appropriately.
And then you would put off all meters, so even if you have somebody that's.
We can't hear you.
Use your mic.
So if you have, a house that has not been an account for years, this is something that happens. And then all of a sudden, it gets turned on without us knowing about it, and we use it for years, this will alert us.
So one of the benefits you'll have with the system, this is the way I use our AMI system. One of the things for me to help identify non-revenue water, one of the sources is vacant properties. So what I do is I take the system and I group all the vacant properties together, and it sends me an email if I see any usage come from vacant properties, because there should be no usage. So if I see any usage, then I know someone is taking water from that property without paying for it. I use that also to group all my fire detect, detector checks on my backflow preventers. So I use it to check that because no one is supposed to be drawing water from the fire protection line. If they draw it, that detector check, that telltale meter is going to alert me. I also use it to verify that the detector check valve is holding. So that was also a way for me to save my team from having to go out and do the test every year, because the detector check has showed that there's no negative consumption. So that means the valve is doing its job. So it's a very powerful system in fact.
In another area it's gonna help too is the irrigation meter side of things. It's gonna be, oh, my system's off. We get that all the time. I'm sure Jennifer can attest to that. I turned it off. Well, this is showing us that it's running every night from midnight to 2 a.m. So we'll be able to go in and have that data right then and there. They'll be able to go in and see it as well. So like Andre said, it's gonna be hour by hour, not day by day or 30 days. In some cases, just because of when we turn the rear meters. We're seeing a lot of other municipalities going this route. Angel is going to, Jerry's going to a similar system. I believe Newberry just entered into a contract last meeting with a similar system. There's other municipalities around us looking at the same thing.
Anybody else?
Just, so you have somebody just explain to me, you guys, just in here, because my technology is not really good.
That's where I'm going. That's exactly where I was going.
So I show you that, so you're gonna have to be clear. No comments, Rich. So I'm just curious. So obviously you have something where, and you said your personnel, you have somebody who also monitors it. Just explain to me just real quick now. I'm going to, how does that happen? Because if you have the depth of the wire, and I'm just curious as to how that person would get it and what's the time frame if the thing happens that they would be able to communicate to us?
So everything is going out daily. So what happens is, because your information today is going to be cloud-based, that means that's how you can access the system through a mobile device. Anybody who has access to it. Because we're monitoring your system, we will also have a layer of access above you, so we can see all the way down to the battery life and all sorts of diagnostics. And so because we're monitoring the health of your system, because we are responsible for it. We're responsible for anything that happens in the field, including the water meter, the endpoint. That, because we're monitoring it, we are then sending you the alerts. You are also seeing it as well, because you're going to be fully trained. It's your system. We're going to fully train you, so your CSRs, they're going to be fully trained on how to use the system, so they'll be able to see it. And then we take that information and we direct it to our service center. Our service centers also come out and take care of any problems that you're having.
So the time frame from that, I guess what I'm asking then is a time frame. You said your service tech comes out and takes up. What is the time frame? The average time frame when you get it and this person is on site?
Right, good question. So typically, what we try to do is, because these don't, it's not like they bill like a lot of time. We coordinate, so we come out here at least a couple weeks prior to billing. So that when you're billing with all of the weeks. If there's any emergencies, then usually things like a couple hours, if that, and for us to come out and take care of it. But it's a partnership. Because remember, we're not going anywhere, we're coming in. So we're gonna work together with you to develop all sorts of plans for how we're gonna handle, new construction, how we're gonna handle for certain items like that.
How does, this has nothing with like water leaks within water mains or anything like that? It would not be able, this is solely for resident or home, apartment or homes where there's a meter. There's nothing else out there on the water lines.
Correct.
Okay. Just a comment on the deal, the non-revenue water. I would think that something like this would be extremely beneficial because you're right. I mean, if you got a leak, you go 30 days and all of a sudden you're hammered. I think that's a positive route. I think if we end up going this route, and I think Byron mentioned it or so forth on this one here, is reverse it. The meter isn't charging enough. And I've been having a heck of a low water bill for a long time. And now this baby goes in and all of a sudden I'm actually getting the true reading. I think it can go both ways, right? In that regard. So my only comment I would say is something like that, obviously when we talked is we would need to have a real good PR communication system out there to let the people know that, we're gonna start getting a true reading. Could benefit some, it could actually, in the long run, it's gonna be best, but if I'm sitting there all of a sudden, to no fault of my own, my water bill just doubled. Well, you've been using it, you idiot, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think that's probably gonna be the negative part that you'd have to be dealing with, but that would be ours. Right? I say this jokingly, but this is the deal. I think it's time we get into the 21st century and we get going, because the water is a major revenue, and what percent are we losing?
We've got 34% water loss, total 13% is unbilled right now. You know where the other 20% is with flushing system and stuff like that. So there's a 13% discrepancy on our side.
You got that? You got a dollar amount equate with that?
Our figures are showing about 170,000, 177,000. I'm not still working numbers with Jennifer on that for finance. I just wanted to, this was your flavor, we need to start moving forward.
So that's just flushing money down the toilet, in essence, on the deal. It's gone, type of deal, which I've said enough. Thank you.
The only thing I'm going to add, I agree with those comments. It's time we move into the technology, but also what I like is we're a growing city, and this is a scalable system. If we still continue to rely on a human resource to go read meters, that resource will get to a point where they cannot expand. So now you're going to have to add another person and support for that meter reading, and they won't be at 100% capacity right away. So now we're overpaying because there's the way that jump. This is linear and it's very scalable, and it makes sense because we've talked in the strategic planning meetings. There's how do you pay for growth that needs to happen because people are moving in, and we talk about impact fees. But how do you take care of what the citizens who live here have and expect? And this is one of the ways we can make sure we're billing everyone fairly, we're maximizing that revenue source, and that we're using as many dollars responsibly as we can. And I say, bring us the proposal, and let's get going with this thing so we can impact next year's budget.
Okay, I like what I'm hearing, but I like the fact that we can recapture some of the water loss that we have from those that are using water without compensating for it. But I'm also concerned about people like me, that has been mentioned before, that are not technologically savvy. Are you gonna leave me behind? But listening to what you say, maybe if somebody got time to really sit and show me one day, maybe I won't get left behind. But I'm not a technology person. But I like what I hear. I really do.
And to echo what Commissioner Jameson was saying, this would be, once we get the contract stuff ironed out, that give us permission tonight to move forward and start looking at exploring this option as we come to an agreement on the contract and payments and deferred and linked and all this other good stuff. We'll start running an aggressive campaign with the citizens, maybe hold some classes on how to look at your water bill. Once we start getting things up and running, do some tutorials online so they'll be able to look at it as well. But we can do something local. We can post something on the Civic Center one evening or several evenings just to say,
Good.
She had set up on your phone and things like that. It's going to be new to everybody.
But some still got the flip phone. I got a smartphone.
This isn't smart.
Well,
So then, I guess, could they call somebody on the line, say, hey, you got a problem you need to address?
Yes, you'll be able to send them an email, send them a text, you can call them. And also the information that you see on your customer portal, the CSR will also see the same information. So when they're talking, CSR will also see that same information to help communicate to your customers what they're saying.
we're looking at accountability for billing on our side, making sure we're making up lost revenue, we're improving customer service, we're communicating with customers better, and just all around, it's a good investment for the city.
Okay, so then, you won't be handling the building any longer, that's what I'm hearing? They handle the building, they send the bills out, or?
Well, the building is still required because we have to take the information, there's a file that comes comes from this system that we import into billing. So, but we're gonna do the interface. So we're gonna take responsibility for doing the interface directly into your, into the billing. And then we will work with your billing clerk to show how you bring it, how you take the information and bring it in. It's just dropping a file in, and it will go and automatically populate.
And it'll go right into our current system.
Okay.
She's gonna have to do the physical part of it.
It's just gonna be a different file,
That's right.
that works with Springbrook, so it's not gonna be a whole lot different.
Okay.
I think just real quick on the deal, when we said this since when I've got on here, as far as this growth comes to the amount of additional personnel that you're going to need. I'm assuming a storm doesn't hinder the ability to read it. But if I'm a water meter guy and I got it, I may not be able to go out that day. So I'm just saying from a personnel standpoint, I think it saves there to where now that person can be utilized elsewhere in the water department because this thing is doing it by itself. And so therefore you're not relying on humans to go out there. If they're sick and you don't have somebody, you're sending out somebody who doesn't know how to do it. To me, this also factors into the deal to where it's readable at all times, not just when the person is available to go. It seems like that would be a pretty major thing, especially as our footprint gets larger and we have greater geographical area to cover. This is doing it, and you're not spending gas. You're not. I think it's a domino effect, so to speak, as to how it would benefit us in the long run. Maybe some of those costs you don't think about, the additional truck that you got to get, or the additional equipment and so forth, it'd come into it. So thank you, sir.
I mean, the biggest thing we'll be responsible for once the system's up and running, if somebody comes in and pays for a new meter, sets up their account, we'll go out, we'll install it, the city will. And then once we get it in, we turn it over to Suez. At that point, because our water system will tap into it. They'll come in and it'll get set up, and it's their problem at that point.
Okay.
So one more question. Okay, now you said something. So we're in Florida. And you got to put up some kind of towels or something to read this thing. So Hurricane Joe come through here. Take out the system. So during that time, the system is down. So how you going to read that system from hour to hour? I'll go back and catch up to billing.
Very, very good question. In fact, the system, the data collector itself holds 3 days of information. The endpoint at the water meter holds 96 days of hourly meter reading. So all your information is still there. So when we put the collector, fortunately, we take care of your towers. How nice. So guess what? Anytime you've ever had an emergency or any event, we come out, because that's our emergency services. We come out and we take care of all that equipment immediately. And once we stand it back up, all that information in 96 days will backfill back into the system, and you will get all your readings. We got you covered.
That is covered.
So the backup, you should not, unless all heck breaks loose, you should not go beyond the 30-day billing cycle. It may be paused for 3 days or so forth, but you would still be able to capture it. I think that's what you were saying.
We'll never lose reads.
Right, you could still capture it within that 30-day period.
We'll never lose reads.
Okay.
Would our vice mayor like to make any comments at all? You're on mute.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just came in on the tail end of that, so I've been listening to everyone's comments, but no, thank you. I don't have any comments this time.
All right, thank you. Anybody in the audience got any questions, comments?
34.9% non-revenue water.
Miss, excuse me, you gotta come up front.
Mr. Gilligan expounded that 20% of that is from flushing.
Yes, sir.
Is 13% fairly normal?
Yes.
Because we're a pretty small town, but is 13% non-revenue?
Yes, in fact, yesterday I came from a system that had over 50%. And the day before I came from a system that had over 65% non-revenue. So you do pretty good.
Can you put your name in the record for us, please?
Catherine Weiss.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, there was someone on Zoom, I'll just project. Mr. Hasselbeck raised his hand. I'm going to allow him to speak. Mr. Hasselbeck, you are live with the commission. You can ask your question.
Yeah, I was curious what wireless protocol is used to move data from the meters to, I assume that there would be hubs deployed throughout the city, or is there a central hub? And perhaps an idea of what the battery life is on the meters.
Very good question. So the information from the endpoint that reads the water meter to the data collector is a licensed frequency, so it's encrypted by the FCC. So, and the frequency belongs to the city. It's your frequency, so it's protected. And it's AES 256 if you wish to know the encryption. But again, it is secure there. And again, the second part of your question?
Yeah, do you know what frequency it is? And are there nodes throughout the city that have to relay that information to a central hub located somewhere?
No, so it's going directly from the water meter to the data collector. The data collector in turn, typically cellular or an Ethernet connection, and we send it to the cloud from there. And
So you don't know what frequency moves from the meter to that collection zone?
it's in the 450 to 470 megahertz.
Okay, UHF. Thank you.
You have another, Kevin?
No, that was it.
That was it?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank
We
you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you.
Quite interesting.
All right. Moving right along to unfinished business. Item number 4. Consider, discuss, and act on ordinance 2020-11.
This is the Bailey Estates ordinance request. The development agreement has been in their hands for a while. They are still reviewing it, and they asked that it be continued to May 27th meeting.
I'm sorry, to what date?
May 27th?
May 27th.
You need a motion to table this until May
To
27th?
continue?
To continue, I would make such a motion.
Second.
All right, it has been properly moved and second that this item, ordinance 2020-11, be rescheduled to our meeting on May 27th. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 5-0. All right. At this time, we will have citizens' requests and comments from issues that are not on the agenda. And please state names for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Madam Mayor, will remind anyone on Zoom if they'd like to speak to the commission, to please use the raise your hand function and we'll bring you up. See no hands at this time.
All right, thank you. Anybody in the audience would like to speak?
Good evening, my name is Sandy Lewis. I currently live in Ocala, Florida, but I grew up here in High Springs. My family's been in High Springs for over 100 years. My sisters and I still have several properties here in High Springs. One of them being at 18560 Northwest 234th Street, or fondly known as the little white house behind the farmer's market that faces the railroad track, or used to be the railroad track. The first thing I'd like to do, and it's kind of ironic because of Arbor Day, excuse me, I get a little nervous, you'd never know I was a school teacher. I'd like to thank Mr. Huffman for cutting down a tree. he cut down over 100-year-old tree beside our house that was aging, and he was quick to do it and very efficiently. And I've been in touch with him several times about that tree, and I'm very pleased at his progress. The tree, like I said, was over 100 years old, so it was part of our family. I've climbed that tree many, many times, and what stories that tree could have told, thank heavens it couldn't talk. I'm here tonight to voice a concern over improper water drainage on our property from the installation of the paving of a road in front of our property. I have pictures. Here, I wasn't able to get them on the slideshow, but I'll leave them with Mr. Gillingham. You found yours? Okay. Is that still called Railroad Avenue? I don't know what the road is. Okay. I believe that when they paved the road, the engineer underestimated the amount of water draining down from US 27 down on 234th Street, and I have pictures of the flow of water. There's 2 PVC pipes that were installed for drainage that are totally inadequate to handle the amount of water coming down 234th Street from Highway 27, which in my day was the Church of Christ, coming down 234th Street. Not only are the drainage PVC pipes too small, but they're too far away from the water drainage area that leads to the retention ponds. They've also already been damaged from traffic and lawnmowers that have been running over them. And well, they were put down in December, January. And 103 years that our house has been standing on that corner, we have never had problems with flooding because we had the high embankment in front of the house and the natural percolation of the sandy soil always took care of the drainage. So with the summer rains coming and hurricane season, I'm requesting that the area be reevaluated and proper culvert system be installed that will direct the runoff, the rain runoff, diverting it to the retention pond at the corner of 234th Street and the newly paved road. So, thank you so much for your attention and your time. And, want to do pictures with you?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay. Just have extra copies for the file.
Anyone else? All right, thank you very much. With that, we'll move along and we'll go into new business.
Let me just real quick on this one here. I'm assuming that we're going to figure this out and we're going to.
Oh,
be in
absolutely.
I just, well,
Yes.
it's sort of, there was no comment there. I
Yes.
want to make sure she understands that we're looking, and then you guys are going to get with them.
Yeah.
Yes, Ms. Lewis and I spoke today.
Okay, I just,
So the farmer's market was engineered and designed by somebody else. So we looked into it, there is an issue with drainage when we have our torrential downpours.
Okay.
For sure, we're exploring some options.
that's fine. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that the communication is there,
Oh.
that it's just not on deaf ear.
Yes,
Oh.
I have pictures here, she
Okay.
sent me a letter, I have
Okay.
some others for y'all to look at as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, new business item number 5, discuss, consider, and act on ordinance 2021-02.
Okay, so this is an ordinance that went to the plan board for consideration, and the plan board does recommend approval to the city commission. The city commission at a previous meeting directed staff to go back and look at table 11.00.01, type of procedure by development option. This table declares what level of review different plats, site plans, zoning, who will approve it and at what level. The level 1 review is approved at the staff level. Level 2 review is approved at plan board level. Level 3 review is at the city commission level. So what it did was it moved several items from staff approval at the staff level to approval at the city commission level. In particular, the ones that were moved in the ordinance were the preliminary plat was already approved at the city commission, but the improvement plans and the improvement agreement, which is basically the construction plans and the development agreement, it moved that to level 3 that needs to be approved at the commission level instead of staff level. It actually had that final plat was approved at the staff level, which although it had been approved at the commission level, it made it correct in the ordinance. On the site plan, the preliminary plans were approved at the staff level. They now need to go to the commission level. The construction plans that go along with the site plan were approved at the staff level. They now need to be approved at the commission level. The final site plans were approved at the staff level. They now need to be approved at the commission level. If you move further down, the only thing remaining at the staff level currently is well-field management permits, floodplain protection permits, stormwater management permits. At the zoning, under the zoning section of the table, there's provisional use, which is approved at staff level, special use, which means it's approved at plan board level, and conditional use, which is approved at the city commission level. That goes along with the table of permitted uses, and that table is coming to you within the next month. So approving this just goes along with the table, which is coming to you. So you'll be able to see that. So those were the main changes to that table. The other parts of the ordinance are strike-throughs that support the changes to this table. So, and then there was another section of the ordinance, there was a loophole in our ordinance that, let me find the section. It is the section 11.01.07.01 and 11.01.07.03 that said subdivisions with lots under 10 lots, it stated no improvements. That was being interpreted by developers that they didn't have to make improvements. And so there were some issues that have been created in subdivisions because of that. So we struck through that, so they have to follow all the same regulations as anyone else who comes forward to plat. So we tied that loophole. So that's what this ordinance is. Staff recommends approval because we think it will benefit the city and lead to higher development.
All right. Do we need to read this into minutes in any way?
You need to read the heading. I think Rich can do that.
Over it.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I will read it in for purposes of the record. And this is our first reading on this ordinance, ordinance number 2021-02, an ordinance of the City of High Springs, Florida, amending the City of High Springs Land Development Code, Appendix B, Land Development Code, Article 11, Administration, Part 11.00.00 generally, Table 11.00.01, Type of Procedure by Development Option, Part 11.01.00, Procedure for Obtaining Development Permits, Section 11.01.01, Section 11.01.07.01, Determination of Required Review, Part 11.02.00, Procedures for Obtaining Development Orders, Section 11.02.02.01, Level 1, Actions by Site Plan Review Committee, Part 11.04.00, Site Plan Review, Section 11.04.04, Preliminary Site Plan Required, Section 11.04.05, Final Site Plan Required, striking Part 11.01.00, Procedure for Obtaining Development Permits, Section 11.01.07, .03, platted subdivision with no improvement facilities, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion would be to approve the ordinances read by title only on first reading.
Thank you. Discussion, commissioners.
I just had a question, because I haven't heard this term before. I mean, I know about the plan board and stuff, the site plan review committee, who makes that up?
The site plan review committee is currently made up of planning, building, police, public works, basically everyone who touches development in the city. It's the department heads.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone in the audience?
This is sort of, excuse me, I'm sorry, Mayor. This would address the issue that we had with the planning and zoning as far as them approving something before it gets to us. So we would have
Right.
that we had talked about previously.
Right. And this is the stuff I don't want to be approving at my desk and I want coming to you.
Right, okay. No, I get it, but this is one of
Yes.
the things that came up in the previous, and we needed to adjust it. And so this is addressing that issue that we had.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
food truck parks come to you, apartments come to you, the things that should be coming to you will be
Right.
coming to you.
Okay.
All right, very good. Anybody in there? Nobody. All right. We are ready for vote, Ms. Vaughn.
Well, I'll make a motion that we pass ordinance 2021.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
I knew you meant it, Mayor.
I'm
You
sorry
meant
about
it.
that.
2021-02 on first reading.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right, now can we?
Mayor James,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrose,
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We got it right. Let's go to item number 6. Discuss, consider, and act on an agreement between the City of High Springs and James Duncan and Associates, Inc.
This is a piggyback agreement utilizing Citrus County's agreement with Duncan and Associates, and it is for professional consulting services to conduct a transportation, parks, and general government impact fee. The impact fees are a one-time fee. They are paid for at building permit, and that's the only time that they are ever assessed. The reason for the impact fees is to help pay for growth and the costs associated with it. The transportation impact fee study is based off of trip generation and land use type. The parks impact fee is based off of residential use, and the general government impact fee is based off of fire, police, and facilities. In particular, we're having them look at City Hall and Public Works and police building. So that's what the impact fees will be based off of. Duncan and Associates, they will perform the study if y'all agree to approve this. The study is $32,250. And after the study, it is up to the commission if and at what level they would like to assess an impact fee to help pay for growth. The money would come from the revenue sharing account, which staff has looked at and projected that the revenues are greatly above what was budgeted, and we feel very confident that they will come in much higher and adequately covers the cost of the $32,250. So.
Thank you. Comments, commissioners?
So by going ahead and having this done by Duncan and Associates, should any fees we eventually implement, they'll have been done where they can substantiate why we're doing them if they were challenged by a developer, correct?
Absolutely. That's why we're using them. And it's based off of several components, including the level of service, the land use trends, policies, master plans, capital improvements, growth projections, financial data, and other relevant information. So a lot of things are taken into consideration when they do the impact fee calculation. And they've done these all over the state of Florida and the United States. They're one of the strongest, I think, companies to do it in the country.
Okay, so follow-up question, and I don't even know if this is possible. In Alachua County, the schools are their own taxing authority and the school system is responsible for schools. But these are impact fees.
Right.
And the school board has hinted that they don't have money for a school in High Springs. Could a municipality like High Springs create a special revenue fund to supplement anything like that by having a school impact fee?
I would need to talk to the people with Duncan and Associates to see. Normally what happens is the school would assess the impact fee. I mean, you understand and all that. If we were to do it to supplement it, I need to talk to them and see how that would work. And if it could, I'm just, that's not my area of expertise.
My question, Commissioner Jamison had asked the question again. My question was, could High Springs create an impact fee separate from what the school board does, where we would create a special revenue fund through impact fees on new building that would only be used to support schools in our community?
Right. I mean, I think if we were to decide to move forward and have our own schools or a charter school or something.
Well, or maybe
Possibly.
maybe we supplement the county's budget that seems to.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a whole the slope there. I'm just even
Right.
curious whether it's possible, and then I have no idea whether the other commissioners would even think that's a good idea. But this is something that would only happen to people who are building in
Right.
our city. It wouldn't impact current residents, and if such a thing is even legal and possible.
I
we talk about it?
will certainly ask them. I'm sure they've received this question before. I think it's a good idea and worth exploring, considering all the issues with the schools and the capacity levels. And so I will check into it for you and let you know as soon as I know, but we'll look
Okay.
into it.
And then my last question is, if we go forward with this, is the timeframe such that we could get this in place where it would impact our 21-22 budget?
The timeframe is 6 months from the time they start, so I need to check with them and see when they can start. Hopefully, they can start in the next 2 months. I mean, they're probably doing some other work, so they need a little bit of lead time. So it would probably be around, it takes 6 more months to get to October 1. So I would say, if not October 1, hopefully by the end of the calendar year.
Okay, so we could maybe have it by second quarter, these impacting revenue, second quarter of the coming fiscal year.
Right. I would say that's reasonable.
Okay.
And there are 3 public meetings with the process as well, so there will be public input.
Okay. Those are my questions, Mayor.
Madam Mayor? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am concerned about the school impact fee. This would be, as you said, Ashley, it would be imposed upon those coming in with new developments. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a one-time fee assessed at building permit, so it's not reassessed every year, just when they come to get the building permit.
Well, I'm just wondering how much the impact fee would have to be to pay for a school.
I have no idea because I don't build schools, but I can find out.
No, I think if you were gonna do it, it wouldn't be the full.
Right.
You're talking about a supplement type of thing that you would do it. I think the thing you gotta be concerned with a little bit is that the county were to put an impact fee on for schools across the county.
Mhm.
And then, I'm just saying, so I mean,
Right,
I'll be honest with you, that's a can of worms. I'm not really at this point in time.
So one of the
Go.
things that putting a school impact fee, I don't know if you could put, if we could put one, plus the school could put one. Again, there's a maximum, so depending, I would think with the calculation, if we did one, the school did one, someone, and it was for the same school, there's still that maximum between both of us that you can justify once you do the calculation. Another thing about it is if we're doing a school impact fee and none of the other cities are, depending on how it's used, it can make us more competitive or less competitive. So I think there's a whole lot of things to look to explore with it, it's definitely worth exploring and looking into, but I think you're gonna see a lot of pros and cons to it.
I have two more questions on that. We currently have a school board in Alachua County. I guess I'm wondering why we're having to look at impact fees to pay for a school that, in my opinion, the school board should be able to provide for us.
I would agree. And we've had some conversations with the school district, staff has, trying to explore different ways to resolve the issue. I think that their response has been that they want developers to pay for the schools, and which is something that's not usual many places, most places. So that's something we're still trying to work through, because we aren't necessarily in agreement to the school problem issue.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. But, and also, I guess I'm confused, even though you have an impact fee, it will take time to raise the money, I'm assuming, and have a school built. I mean, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. Is that correct?
I mean, that's correct. I mean, money has to grow before you can do things, and there's a lot that goes into it. So it's not any different than our public facilities. We have to plan for them and how we're going to finance them, and at what points we pull the trigger to move forward on the projects. So, typically the cities are in charge of municipal facilities and the schools in charge of their facilities, but this is a unique situation where the cities may need to start seeing what options are out there for us to explore, as well as how much and to what extent the school district will work with us and be open to solutions. We've tried to start some of those conversations. We had a recent meeting over Zoom, and hopefully we can have some more meetings or even joint meetings to come to further resolution.
Okay, I just feel like it's unfair for the city of High Springs having to pay for a school, not the residents themselves, but the new people coming in, when there are schools provided for the city of Gainesville, perhaps.
Agreed.
Okay.
Absolutely agree.
We're having to pay for schools that should have been in the works, or maybe better talked about along with the other cities in the county. I'm disappointed I was disappointed in the superintendent's comments when she was here before, and it's kind of like putting the responsibility on the city of High Springs of building a school if we're going to have growth. But we pay taxes for schools.
Agree.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I just have some issues with it. That's all.
Any other comments, questions, commissioners?
I think we're going to need to possibly try to have some more meetings, and hopefully they can be more conducive. I'm not sure how far staff can get at some point. We weren't successful. We weren't in agreement at our last meeting that we did via Zoom. Hopefully moving forward, we can have some other meetings that work better towards creative solutions. And at some point, maybe we can have some joint meeting between the commission and the school board, or just see what avenues are open to explore some better communication to resolve these issues, instead of it being one way that we can work together.
Great.
Audience comments?
Madam Mayor will remind the folks on Zoom if they'd like to speak to the commission to please raise your hand. And seeing no hands at this time.
Okay. I think that takes care of that item. Discuss, consider, and act. All right, what are we doing?
Let's make something clear here now. Now, this study is for transportation, parks, general government impact fee study. Not for a study for the schools.
Right, this is for no,
This
this is for no
not what this is
schools.
for.
And-
I want to make that point clear.
Right, and we will be bringing water and sewer impact fees to you soon as well. Staff is still looking for a firm that we feel can do a good job, so it's legally defensible. So,
Well, I think what Byron was saying here, we've talked about this, and the same, we just talked about it with the water thing, as far as being able to hire. And this is gonna be an issue that we've had since I've been on here, and it's gonna be an issue with small cities going forward, is when you bring it, you're gonna have to increase, and it's gonna cost more, and you're gonna have to raise revenue. And so, as much as I don't like doing it, this is something as opposed to the current citizens. If you wanna come here, then pay the fee to come in here and fund it, to where it doesn't fall on the backs of the current citizens to have to try to pay that. So I mean, I think this is the way to go. I know we did this, Byron, we did one other impact fee study back when I just got on and so forth, and they went through the process. So I think this is the viable way and the best way to do it, to where we can, to the best degree, and let me say something, to the best degree, we can limit increasing fees to our current citizens, limit, say not all, but limit it, and those people who want to come in here, add to the funding. So I'm in favor of this and getting this going as quickly as possible.
and I would just
Madam
like to
Mayor?
say that impact fees help with the cost. They don't pay all the costs of growth.
Agreed.
That's right.
But it helps,
Agreed.
right?
Every little bit helps.
Madam Mayor,
Look at it. Yes,
I am in favor of the impact fees. I just was surprised to hear schools brought into that.
well, I think the school issue was simply a question that he was asking, but it has nothing to do with this particular document.
Very good.
Okay. All right, then in that case, I'll entertain, if no more questions, then we need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we enter into an agreement with Duncan Associates.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second that the agreement between the city of High Springs and James Duncan and Associates be approved. All those in favor, respond with aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, item number 7. Discuss, consider, and act on ordinance 2021-03.
Okay.
Rich.
Madam Mayor, if I may read it in, I believe there's been a late revision to the draft ordinance. Hopefully it's in front of the commissioner at this point. But if it's not, I'm going to be reading the new title. There's a couple edits to the title, different than what was originally submitted in the packet. So this is ordinance number 2021-03, an ordinance of the City Commission for the City of High Springs, Florida, amending Chapter 70, Article 1 regarding a communications service tax on all communications services within the City of High Springs, providing for notice to the Department of Revenue, providing for a conflicts clause, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion would be to approve the ordinance as read by title only on its first reading.
Just to let you know, the change in the ordinance, the body is the same. It was changing it to a different section because staff found an existing section, so they didn't have to make a new section. They replaced an existing section. So that was the change. So basically, this ordinance is for the communication service tax. Our base tax currently is 5.10 and our aggregate is 5.22. So this would be the same, the exact same. So you're not putting in place a new tax or a higher tax rate. The way the new statute that has come down, they have simplified the language within statute on the tax. And so this just keeps in line with the new language. It's an update, but it's basically the same thing. I don't know how else to say it. It's basically you're going in and you're updating our ordinances to reflect state statute, and the tax is staying the same.
All right.
The aggregate tax, the base
Okay.
plus what's on top of it.
Commissioners, you got any comments, questions?
She answered my question.
Does this capture any new revenue, like voice over internet,
No.
phone systems, or any of that?
It's just what's allowed by the communications tax, and in what I read, it looks the exact same. Do you know the answer to that, Rich? If there's any new, I didn't read that there was anything
Well-
new, but Rich might know.
No, I'm not aware either. I would agree with your reading of it, actually.
Okay, so I guess like, if I put voice over internet phone online here in High Springs, I don't pay a High Springs tax, but in Newberry, they collect a per line fee for every line over the internet that comes from my AT&T fiber into my building. It shows up on my phone bill.
Well-
It's a city of Newberry tax. And Newberry also collects more with the cell phone tax, because some of my lines for my business are listed here in High Springs, and some of my cell phone lines were new after I had a billing address in Newberry. So Newberry has a city tax per line on my cell phone. It shows up for each number. And then there's some that say to High Springs. Newberry's tax for cell phones is like 4 times higher than High Springs per line. So how are they capturing more than we are for literally the identical cell phone line?
Right, so this, and it might be that after you pass this, then we turn it into the Department of Revenue because it cleans up some of the language. So hopefully by cleaning up some of the language in the ordinance, because it defines it as communication services, which include voice, audio, video, other information or signals transmitted by any medium, okay? So I will check, okay, with them to make sure that that is captured, and I will get back with you I'll check on Newberry's rate too, okay? The surrounding cities' rates. And if it doesn't, I will bring you back another ordinance to, so you have an option to see if you want to capture, if we're not capturing anything. I think by the definition, we should capture it once we turn it into the Department of Revenue, but I will, if we don't, I will bring something back to you.
Okay, thank you.
When you just said you'll bring back another ordinance, so this one basically opens the door for us to do it, and then the other ordinance would allow us to walk through the door.
If we need it, this might already
Okay.
walk us through the door, but I just want to double check. I'll call the Department of Revenue, speak
Okay.
with them and make sure.
Okay, we're not gonna have to come back and redo this ordinance is what I'm saying.
I don't think so, but if I do, I will, but this
Okay.
appears to capture all of that.
Okay.
We can make, between now and second reading, if there are some changes, we can bring that back for second reading and it won't slow up the process at all.
So in that timeframe, Rich, within the 2 weeks or so, but you're saying we could figure this out, and then if an adjustment needed to be made, it could be done. Is that that's what you're saying?
Theoretically, yes. And get with Ashley next week on it so we can help her to the extent she needs us to do some further research on that, on some of those issues.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? Vice Mayor, you okay? Any audience questions, comments? Anybody, Kevin?
No hands on Zoom this time.
No hands on. All right, in that case, I'm gonna actually ask for a motion this time.
I move we pass ordinance 2021-3 as read.
Second.
All right, it is properly moved and second that, ordinance 2021-03 be approved. Ms. Plum?
Vice Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrose,
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor James.
Yes. Okay, motion carries 5-0. All right, at this point, we're at city attorney report and update.
Madam Mayor, I don't have anything to report. I don't even have any comments to make towards Commissioner Jameson tonight. But I will say I did get a chance to see the Santa Fe basketball team play once this year, and I was very impressed. So it was pretty neat to see them earlier tonight. I was also able to get my second vaccine shot today, this afternoon. So far, I feel okay.
All right, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
City manager,
Do you want to talk about Pioneer Days?
go ahead.
Okay, well, Pioneer Days is this weekend, just to remind everyone, so come out. The other thing, on the well, we are getting ready to bid it in 2 weeks, and we're working on the financing consecutively with it. We've had a meeting with PFM, and they have requested some information that we're getting to them so that they can help us get the financing in line for the well. So I wanted you to know we're moving forward on that. And Bruce has an announcement on the wastewater treatment plant.
So both the projects we submitted to Swan River Water Management made it through the selection process. So we have 2 of the 8 projects that are going to FDEP at the end of May for the final funding. So the sewer plant ranked 2 or 3, and as you remember in the A2 project, we requested $2.4 million to be reallocated. The plan reapplied for 2.6, and then we're resubmitted for that 2.4 again in a separate project, and it made it through as well. So it's sitting, I believe, 7 in there as well. So hopefully, crossing our fingers, everything goes right. We should be good to go. I believe the meeting's May 21st, and hopefully I'll have an update on the next meeting on the 22nd. So keep your fingers crossed, pray for it. Let's see what happens.
Also on the water sewer master plan, we've had meetings with Florida Rural Water, so they're getting us a scope of work to do portions of it at a much lower cost. So we will probably have to supplement some with Kimley Horn, but we hope it brings it down substantially. We think it will, and so they're kind of, I think, seem really excited to work with us. And we are looking at mid-year budget amendments to help with that. The burnt house has been tagged. We hope by the end of May it goes to the magistrate. We're working through budget amendments to see if the city has to help pay for it and put a lien on the property. Estimates have been received for demolition, but we still need to do testing on asbestos after it goes to the magistrate. So that's an update on that. The draft comp plan is going to the plan board on Tuesday, if anyone wants to come, and that will be coming to you soon as well.
The CDG water project will start May 3rd. We're in the process of sending letters out now to notify the residents of what will be going on in that area. So that project will start May 3rd. And back to the water and wastewater impact fee stuff. They meet on Tuesday. Everything seems pretty favorable with them. The engineers should be back in the office next week. Hopefully we'll be coming to the commission on the 22nd with an update on that and projected costs.
Okay. That's it.
That's all I have.
All right, very good. Let's go down to Commissioner Ambrose.
The only thing I'm going to point out is anybody that hasn't had a COVID shot, tomorrow at Fellowship Church, there's a walk-up clinic from 12 to 6. For anybody that wants to get one, no appointment needed. That's it.
Yeah, no, you. All right. Thanks, yeah. First of all, let the guys from Public Works know that I'm so impressed with it keeping the grass cut on the city right away. I'm so impressed. I've never seen like this before. I've been here for 63 years. Look wonderful. So let them know that. But
We're
all
trying to stay on top of it. We got a lot of projects going on, and we're pushing them pretty hard right now, so hopefully we can stay ahead.
good. And also, I will get with you or maybe send you the addresses. There's some areas where the overhang, you have to ride around instead of, if two cars come, you got to wait for one car to go and then goes, but I get with you on that one.
We, just to let you know, we do have a list running right now.
Okay.
We're doing that with the new tree list, and we just cut some trees down, but, right now we have Robin and Hunter doing all the line locations, new projects, they'll be tied up the whole month on that, getting ready for the CDG project, and we're gonna get back to clearing roads.
Okay, yeah.
Give you an update.
Yeah, there's some trimming, just been done. And with a good note, with Farm Share, we had 49 volunteers and we fed 847 households that Saturday. That was wonderful. And she liked to express, she loved working with High Spring. She said, we are the best when we come out to distributing the food. We work so well together, we're so well organized. And again, we just want to say thank y'all for that. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I like that too. Vice Mayor?
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
Nothing at this time.
No, I'm
And-
tired.
You're
I've been
tired.
in
Yeah, I
jury
know you had a
service all
long
day
day. All right. All right. And you already know about Pioneer Day, so make sure you come out and enjoy yourself over the weekend. We did have one vendor that was going to come in and bring this humongous boat that wanted to take up the side of the building here between here and the Women's Club. But he called this morning and said he's not coming. He sold the boat.
Hey, man, gotta make money.
All right. With that, if I get a motion, I'll adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Meeting